Hi there, welcome back to another Crypto Dave video. It's Tuesday, which means another Masternode Shootout update video. This is for week 39, and in this video series we look at which Masternode performs the best throughout 2019. Now it's the 1st of October today, so the first day of the last quarter of the year, so we're 3/4 of the way into the year now, 1/4 left to go. And the bad news is that this week has been the worst week by a long way that we've had this year. Now there's a couple of reasons for that. One, there was a pullback in price in Bitcoin, which was translated across the crypto market. So just over a week ago, Bitcoin dropped from a sort of 10,000 odd level where it had been holding for a while, for a month or so, down to at one point sub 8,000, so it went down to about 7,700. Now it's recovered a little bit over the last couple of days. It's currently trading around $8,300, $8,400, so it has recovered a fraction. And some of the altcoins in the last couple of days, particularly some of the larger altcoins, have recovered a little bit better than Bitcoin. So XRP in particular, Stellar's had a pretty decent kind of week. So a lot of the larger cap altcoins have had slightly better week than Bitcoin. But the markets as a whole are down, particularly in kind of dollar terms, so that's affected us. And this week we've just been incredibly unlucky. So last week we were quite lucky. We got a few extra Masternode payouts in that we wouldn't normally kind of expect, but this week's completely the opposite. So we've had a very, very slow week. We've actually received, I think, 3 different Masternode payouts since midnight when I took these figures. So hopefully next week will be a little bit bigger. But just to give you an example, only 4 payouts for Volcano this week rather than 5, only 4 for Metrics rather than 5, only 2 for Smart Cash. We had 4 last week. So the payouts across the board pretty much kind of down, just a little bit unlucky with payouts coming in just before the start of this week and then just after the end. Helix was basically where it has been for the last few weeks, but that's the only one, along with Bulwark. But you should note that with Bulwark, the Masternode payouts have dropped. So they've dropped from 12 point, I think it was about 12.18 coins to 10.14 coins, something like that, for payouts. So the amount of Bulwark will be down probably about 15-20% on what we've been getting over the last few weeks, and that happened about 10 days ago. I should have mentioned that in last week's video. But let's jump straight in and have a look at the figures for this week. No issues with any of the kind of technical side of things. There have been no updates to the Masternodes or any downtime, anything like that. So starting with Volcano, 641 coins worth 60 cents. Bulwark, 51 coins worth 63 cents. 243 Helix worth 26 cents, 12,800 Metrics worth $2.84, 230 Smart Cash worth 60 cents, and of course nothing for Syndicate, our Syndicate Masternode, having gone down about a month or so ago now. So that's a grand total this week of only $4.93. If we jump over to the chart, you can see we're miles below where we've been recently. We seem to reach a kind of little plateau here, sort of like a more recent kind of equilibrium over this kind of 6-week period, then another pullback, and then sort of like the same thing here. So we seem to reach a little bit of a plateau here again. But this last week, I don't think this is any different to this kind of plateau. I don't think the prices are that much different from where they were a week ago. I think we literally is just very unlucky with the rewards coming in this last week. So I imagine that we'll pop back up to this kind of level around the sort of $8-9 mark, which is obviously pretty poor compared to how we started the year, but seems to be the sort of like the new kind of low. So I think this is probably a little bit of an outlier, but we shall have to see. So I mean, in terms of our kind of goal of $100 a week from kind of Masternodes, I mean, we're miles off that now. I think even if we pop back to our the previous levels, we're about maybe a tenth at best, about a tenth of where we wanted to be. The only thing I think that can really kind of sort of save this experiment now in a way is a massive kind of altcoin bull run in the last quarter of this year. Now, I'm not particularly convinced that will happen. I think we'll see a recovery in Bitcoin the last quarter of this year. I think we could easily see a rise up to maybe 15,000, something like that, over the next kind of quarter. We'll have to see how this next few weeks pans out, the sort of fight between the bulls and the bears, whether we can hold this kind of 8,000 target and move back up towards that kind of 10,000 and then move press on from there, or whether there's an additional kind of dip maybe in the next kind of week or so, and it takes a little bit longer to go back up. But I could quite easily see it going well above 10,000 by the end of the year. I think the big question is, will there be enough confidence for that money to be moved over into kind of altcoins. XRP in particular has had a really good kind of day or so. Stellar's had a pretty decent kind of week, up quite a lot compared to Bitcoin, and we've seen that sort of trend now maybe across a lot of the alts. They didn't lose that much compared to Bitcoin as Bitcoin took this latest dip. So it may be that some of the money's coming out of kind of Bitcoin, a little bit of the money going into altcoins. But I think it would have to be like a really big run up in kind of Bitcoin, then people moving a lot of that kind of money into kind of altcoins, and that to trickle down. A lot of these coins are pretty small cap coins, so I think it would take, you know, an awful large bull run in order to kind of for some of these kind of coins to do pretty well. So not particularly optimistic as to how things are going to go in this last quarter. If we can sort of go back to sort of above $10 a kind of week and sort of hold there until we see that kind of big bull run, I think that would be probably the most positive that we can hope for. But congratulations to Metrics. It's regained #1 position, only very fractionally from Helix. So these two are the only masternodes that have consistently been in positive territory this year. Metrics had a little bit of a dip last week. I think it was down about 12%. So it's had a decent kind of comeback from there. And regains #1 position from Helix. But these two have been sort of swapping #1 and #2 position pretty much all year. Everything else pretty appalling. Volcano seems to have stabilized a little bit at this sort of like -30, -40% down. Everything else a lot worse. So we've got Syndicate 69% down, SmartCash 73% down, Bulwark 76% down. None of the positions have changed for the smaller coins, only #1 and 2 positions. But that's it for this week. Thanks very much for watching. As always, next week there'll be a 4-weekly update, so we can go into some of these kind of coins in a little bit more detail, maybe do a deep dive into 1 or 2 of them. But thanks very much for watching. Hopefully you have a great day. Bye bye.